Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
I'm a 16-year-old guy who's been growing out my hair for the past year. It started as a bet with my friends. They said I wouldn't last 3 months without cutting it. Well, joke's on them because I actually started liking the look. The only problem is that awkward phase when it's not quite long enough to tie back properly, but long enough to get in your eyes constantly. That's why I bought this plain black baseball cap from the sports store near my house. Nothing fancy, just something to keep my hair in check until it grows out more. I even wrote my name inside it with a marker, which turned out to be a smart move, considering what happened next. So there I was at the mall with 3 of my friends on a Saturday evening. 2 of them went to the bathroom, leaving me and my other friend at this small cafe table. We were just chatting about some new video game when this woman appeared out of nowhere. She approached our table and called me Miss, which was confusing. When I asked if she was talking to me, she sarcastically pointed out that I was the only miss at the table. When I asked how I could help her, she bluntly stated that her son wanted my hat. I explained it wasn't for sale, but she clarified that she wasn't interested in buying it. She just wanted me to hand it over. She actually reached for my hat while it was still on my head. I had to lean back to avoid her grabbing it, asking her not to do that. That's when her husband decided to join in, demanding to know why I couldn't just give them the hat since he thought I didn't need it. I explained that I had bought it with my own money and suggested they could buy their own hat since the stores were still open for another 2 hours. Their kid, who looked about 8 or 9, started whining about wanting specifically my hat. My friend tried to intervene, asking them to leave us alone. The woman insisted that her son's wants were more important than mine, claiming I was too old for the hat anyway. I repeated my refusal, but then the husband tried to grab my hat too. My friend had to physically slap his hand away, which led to the husband expressing shock at our reaction. My friend told them to get lost. They finally walked away, and our other friends came back from the bathroom. We were in the middle of explaining the situation when a security guard showed up about 5 minutes later. He told us that someone had complained about us stealing the hat and assaulting them when they tried to retrieve it. I explained that the hat was mine and that I had walked into the mall wearing it, mentioning that my name was written inside. When he asked to see the hat, I handed it over, and when he requested ID to match the name, I showed him my passport photo. The guard apologized for the misunderstanding and was about to leave when the family came storming back. They had been watching from around the corner, and now they were screaming accusations that I was lying and must have written my name just then, though they couldn't explain how I would have done this. The woman was yelling about how her precious angel deserved the hat more than some delinquent teenager. The security guard called for backup when they wouldn't calm down. The mall had security cameras covering the cafe area. When more guards arrived, they checked the footage and saw the whole thing. Their attempted grab, my friend's defensive action, everything. They got banned from the mall for 6 months. When they were being escorted out, the woman was ranting about teenagers having no respect and threatening to contact corporate. The husband was making legal threats against everyone, me, my friend, the security guards, and even the mall itself. My friends and I couldn't stop laughing about it for weeks. A week later, I saw them at a different mall. The kid was wearing a black baseball cap that looked exactly like mine. Guess they finally figured out how stores work. I've been into car racing since I was a teenager. Nothing professional, just local competitions and meetups where gearheads like me could show off their rides and compete. Over the years, I built quite a reputation in the local racing scene, earning the nickname Smokey due to my tendency to push my engines to their absolute limits. Last year for my birthday, my best friend gave me a Wrangler jean jacket. It wasn't just any jacket, it became my canvas. I started collecting patches from every race I participated in, every parts manufacturer I bought from, and every milestone in my racing journey. Summit Racing, Turbo Blue, Holly, you name it, I had their patch on my jacket. I even hand-sewed my nickname Smokey onto it. The jacket became more than just clothing, It was a timeline of my racing career. Some of these patches were rare finds from discontinued product lines or limited editions. I'd estimate it would cost several $100s to recreate it today, if you could even find all the patches. I was so protective of it that I'd remove the Velcro backing from patches just to sew them directly onto the fabric. Today started like any other day. After my morning classes at the community college, I drove to McDonald's for lunch. I noticed a few families inside but didn't think much of it. I waited behind a mother and her teenage daughter to place my order, just 2 cheeseburgers and a Coke. While I was filling my drink, the mother approached me. She complimented my jacket and asked about the racing fuel patch. I explained that it was from a brand I used for my race car and told her about my local racing competitions. Her daughter, however, wasn't as polite. She rudely commented that I was too fat to be a racer. I'll admit I'm not the slimmest person. I'm built broad and carry some extra weight, but I've never let that stop me from doing what I love. I responded kindly, telling her that anyone could be anything if they put their mind to it. I smiled and walked away. I sat down to eat my lunch in peace, but as I was finishing up and about to throw away my trash, I felt someone tugging on my jacket. The tugging turned into aggressive jerking, like someone trying to pull it off. I turned around to find the daughter grabbing at my jacket. When I asked if I could help her, she begged to try on my jacket. I politely declined, explaining that it had sentimental value and I'd rather not take it off. She persisted, promising to give me a hug if I let her wear it. Again, I refused, explaining that I needed to get back to campus for class and the jacket meant a lot to me. That's when everything went sideways. The girl started screaming that I was harassing her. She falsely accused me of trying to molest her, even though I hadn't touched her. The mother immediately called emergency services while her daughter continued making false accusations. I kept backing away, repeatedly insisting that I hadn't touched her. The mother then accused me of stealing the jacket from her daughter's boyfriend. When I protested that I had walked in wearing it, she claimed her daughter never took off the jacket that her boyfriend had given her and accused me of trying to steal from her daughter. The manager came out and detained me until the police arrived. The whole time the mother was yelling into her phone and the daughter was crying about how I supposedly groped her. It was infuriating how I was being treated as guilty without any evidence. When the police arrived, they immediately put me in handcuffs based on the harassment claims. They took my jacket off and walked me to the cruiser. The officer asked for my ID and requested my version of events. I explained how I came in for lunch, spoke briefly with the mother about my jacket patches, and how the daughter had asked to try on my jacket. I told them how she started screaming harassment when I refused, and the mother claimed I had stolen it. When the officer asked if I could prove the jacket belonged to me, I got worried for a moment since it only had my nickname Smokey on it, not my legal name. Then I remembered something crucial. I asked the officer to check my wallet, where they found my racing title stitched in bright orange thread, matching the exact style and color of the stitching on several patches and the jacket itself. What happened next was beautiful. The security footage clearly showed me walking in wearing the jacket, and several other customers came forward confirming my version of events. The mother and daughter were arrested for filing a false police report and inciting panic. They both ended up getting charged with multiple counts of attempted theft and filing false police reports. The mother got 18 months in prison, and the daughter was sent to juvenile detention. After that day, I added an extra security measure. I stitched my full legal name under one of the removable patches, but I still wear my jacket proudly everywhere I go, and it has even more patches now, each with its own story to tell. My husband and I had worked incredibly hard to get where we were. After 5 years of saving every penny from our jobs at the local hospital, him as a nurse and me as a radiologist, we finally managed to buy our dream house. It wasn't anything fancy, just a cozy 2-story home in a quiet neighborhood, but it was perfect for us. The previous owners had maintained it beautifully for 30 years, and we were honored when they chose us over higher bidders because they believed we would love the house as much as they did. We spent the first year renovating it ourselves, working weekends and evenings to make it exactly how we wanted. My husband even built a small greenhouse in the backyard where I could grow my own herbs and vegetables, something I'd always dreamed of doing. The neighbors were friendly, and we quickly became part of the community. That is, until Karen moved in next door. It had been going on for months now. Karen had been pestering us to sell her our house. She was convinced that she had to have that particular spot and wouldn't take no for an answer. At first, we tried to be polite and just tell her that we weren't interested in selling. But she kept insisting, becoming more and more demanding with each passing day. It was starting to get really annoying. Every time we saw her, it was the same conversation. I would politely decline her offer to buy our house, but she would keep pushing, insisting that she could offer us a price we couldn't refuse. My husband would step in and tell her that the house wasn't for sale at any price, asking her to please respect our decision. But Karen would just smile and say that everyone has a price, challenging us to name ours. It was like talking to a brick wall. But she wouldn't stop. Every single day she'd find some excuse to corner one of us. She'd wait by our car in the morning, ambush us while we were getting our mail, or accidentally bump into us at the local grocery store. It got to the point where we started varying our routines just to avoid her. Then things took a turn for the worse. Karen started trying to scare us into selling. She would bang on the walls late at night and make strange noises. She even went so far as to leave creepy notes on our doorstep. One note made my blood run cold. It warned us that she would do whatever it took to get this house, and that we better watch our backs. We called the police, but they said they couldn't do much without proof it was her. We installed security cameras, but she was clever enough to stay just out of view when leaving the notes. We were at our wits' end. We had no idea what to do to make her stop. The final straw came one night when I was awakened by a loud noise. I sat up in bed and saw a figure standing at the foot of it, wearing a clown mask and holding a sharp knife. I let out a scream as the figure lunged at me, but my husband was prepared. Ever since the threatening note started, he kept a baseball bat by the bed. He grabbed it and swung it with all his might at the figure. There was a loud thud as the bat connected with the person's head, and they crumpled to the ground in a heap. My husband turned on the light to reveal Karen lying unconscious on our bedroom floor. We were in shock. We knew she was obsessed with getting our house, but we never imagined she would go this far. The police arrived within minutes, and this time we had all the evidence we needed. The security cameras had caught her breaking in through our back door, and she was still wearing the clown mask and holding the knife when they arrested her. When they were putting her in handcuffs, Karen kept screaming about how she was just trying to scare us and wasn't really going to hurt anyone. The police officer told her to save her excuses for her lawyer and told her of the charges: breaking and entering, attempted assault with a deadly weapon, and attempted murder. Karen continued to protest, claiming we were the unreasonable ones for not accepting her generous offer for the house. The police investigation revealed that she had been forced to move from her previous neighborhood after harassing another family in a similar way. She had become fixated on their house and wouldn't take no for an answer. They had moved away out of fear, which only reinforced her belief that intimidation would eventually work with us too. The district attorney was able to build a strong case against her, using not just the evidence from the break-in, but also the threatening notes, security camera footage of her stalking us, and testimony from her previous victims. In the end, she was sentenced to 8 years in prison with mandatory psychiatric treatment. We still live in our beloved home, and the neighborhood is peaceful once again. Karen's house was sold to a lovely retired couple who bring us homemade cookies every Sunday. My greenhouse is thriving, and we've even started hosting community gardening workshops. Background: I'm a 15-year-old who lives in Prague, Czech Republic, though I was born in Southern California. I'm really into building and collecting Lego Star Wars sets. This incident happened about a week before school started, right after I got my passport renewed at the US Embassy. I was heading to meet my aunt and her twins at the bus station in Haje, Prague 11. Since I had about 45 minutes to spare, I decided to stop by the toy store in Chodov to pick up some gifts. It worked out perfectly, since both Chodov and Haje have metro stations on the sea line. I was relieved to find the Lego set I wanted still in stock at Bamboo. After grabbing it and picking out some gifts for the twins, I paid and left the store. That's when a young boy wearing a Brawl Stars shirt approached me. He politely asked me where I got the spaceship from. I kindly told him it was just a couple stores down in Bamboo. Then surprisingly, he asked if I could give him my spaceship, since I knew where to get another one. I had to explain that I couldn't do that since I was in a hurry and had used my own money to buy it. The boy ran off in the opposite direction of where I'd pointed him toward Bamboo. 2 minutes later, I saw him returning with his mother, who was storming toward me with a determined look on her face. She confronted me about refusing to give her son the spaceship. Before I could explain myself, she cut me off and accused me of not wanting to contribute to society. I tried explaining that I had bought it with money I earned working as an instructor at a mini military camp and suggested she buy one herself for her child. She then claimed I was too old to be buying toys. I attempted to explain that Lego has no age limit and that the number on the box only indicates skill level. She wouldn't listen and instead started hurling insults, calling me a thief and making wild accusations about my personal life. Though I was angry, I kept my composure and tried once again to explain that I had purchased the set with my own money. She responded by claiming what I was doing was illegal and that I could be arrested. I pointed out that we lived in a capitalist country, not a communist one, and hadn't been communist for 22 years. She stormed off, but my troubles weren't over. Just as I was about to leave the mall, a security guard called out to me. He approached with a woman and her son, who was now crying. The guard explained that the woman had accused me of stealing her Lego set and punching her child while escaping. I noticed the child's left cheek was red. I offered to show my receipt as proof of purchase and reached for my wallet. That's when the woman shouted, claiming the wallet was hers. I challenged her claim by asking how she would explain my name being on all the cards inside: the citizenship card, library card, and health insurance card. She then shifted focus back to her accusation about me hitting her child. The security guard, growing suspicious, knelt down and asked the boy directly who had hit him. The woman smirked, clearly expecting her son to point at me. Instead, the boy looked at me briefly before pointing directly at his mother. Her face immediately fell as her own child exposed her lie. She tried to make a run for it with her son, but the security guard was prepared. He quickly radioed for backup while another guard blocked the exit. They detained her right there in the mall while waiting for the police. She was charged with filing a false police report and child abuse. I managed to make it to the bus station just in time to meet my aunt and her twins, and we all enjoyed our Lego sets together. She was doing community service at a toy donation center, which seemed like fitting karma to me. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.